Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Multi-Million Dollar Brands podcast. I am here with Rachel Ngom, and we had met last year at an event and just clicked. And we clicked for a couple different reasons. First of all, because as you're going to find, she's a totally lovely person. And second of all, we're both faith-based entrepreneurs. And so that was a really nice way in which we were able to get to know each other and stay in touch. And Rachel, I'm just so grateful for you being here today.
I'm so grateful to be here. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. And you have really differentiated yourself and you found this white space as a Pinterest expert. How
Yeah.
did you like get there? How did you stumble upon that expertise?
Yeah. So my first business I started when I was 23, and that was network marketing in the fitness space. And I had learned how to use Facebook and Instagram to grow that business. And it worked really well. I had like 70,000 followers between the two platforms. And it was so easy to post something and then get all these comments and then make sales. And then the logarithm changed when my son was a baby. And I was like, oh, I have to figure something out because this isn't working anymore. So I just started creating content, posting it on my blog, and then putting it on Pinterest. And I noticed my traffic was increasing and my email list was growing. And I looked at my Google Analytics and I saw I had over 30,000 people coming to that blog every month from Pinterest. And I was like, what? This is crazy. Like, how is this happening? And it was all free organic traffic. So I was actually teaching my network marketing team how to use Pinterest to grow their business. And that company, the network marketing company I was a part of, restructured. My income was cut in half. And I realized I wanted to be like a real entrepreneur. Like I was like an entrepreneur kind of with network marketing, but I wasn't in control of my income because I was working harder and harder and harder. So I decided to hire a business coach and started this company and figured out really quickly my zone of genius was Pinterest. What people really needed was lead generation, but they were just burnt out on Facebook and Instagram. So I was like, you haven't heard of Pinterest? And everyone I was talking to was like, no, you could use that for your business. I'm like, hello, yes, this is what I've been able to do. And I had so many people just jump on board. They teach me how. That's kind of how we started.
It has been sort of the year of crazy on Facebook
Yeah.
too. At the time of recording, this is 2020. We're in October, and a lot of people have like given up on Facebook and Instagram this year. They've just gotten frustrated between algorithm changes and just
Yeah.
a lot of junk in the newsfeed. Do you find like more and more people are adopting Pinterest this year?
I'd say most people don't know about it unless they like run into me and they find me on Pinterest or like they see a Facebook ad for us or something like that. So I would say they're just frustrated and they don't really know where to turn.
Okay, well, that's awesome because everybody listening is going to have that insight into you
Yes.
today. And it's going to be like, what? Pinterest? This is amazing. How did we not know about this before? Like, what does make it different than advertising on Facebook and Instagram?
It's a search engine and it's not a social media platform. And so when you can figure out who your ideal client is and get inside their head and figure out what they're searching for on the platform, and you use those search terms in the content you're putting on Pinterest, that's where you become your ideal client can find you and you can rank at the top of Pinterest. And the thing that really differentiates it is because it's a search engine, they're actually looking for this specific thing. So you get to actually show up and solve their problem. Rather on Facebook and Instagram, it's like a pattern interrupt. So they're like there to connect with friends and family and to do their thing, and you have to stop and interrupt their pattern. Was with Pinterest, they're searching for something specific. A lot of times they're like in the purchasing process, they're looking to buy something. And so you could easily show up and be that person for them.
So cool. Would you say that it works for certain types of services or products better than other types of services and products?
I've seen so many different businesses take off with it. So I honestly, I think every business can use Pinterest. Like I've seen lactation consultants, like a lactation business. I've spoken at a real estate conference teaching real estate agents how they can use it. Like I've seen it used for pretty much anything.
Really? So even like B2B, because
Yeah.
traditionally in my head it would be B2C, but you've really
No.
seen people with B2B take off with it.
Yep.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And so you're the host of She's Making Impact podcast. And as all of us as entrepreneurs, we want to make an impact,
Mhm.
especially women entrepreneurs. We have this deeper reason of why in general, not all the time, but in general, that drives us. And so what is this impact that you are hoping to make just on the world above and beyond your expertise in Pinterest?
So I see it as like twofold because I want to be able to teach people what I know and to be able to help them grow a business that fulfills them, and also so they can use that business to impact the world. And so they have their gifts and their talents, and for them to be able to do that to serve the world, that to me is an impact. But also to be able to use the money that we generate in our business to give back, and specifically in Africa, more specifically in Senegal, where my husband is from and where we're moving next year.
Oh, really?
So yeah, one of the cool things is we started a nonprofit, Global Mercy Impact, and we were able to just recently feed over 100 families for a month that have really been affected from COVID. So they haven't been able to like work or anything like that. So my husband was there, like, and they had him and his friends were bringing like all these bags of rice to the communities. And then he also went back with some soccer balls and jerseys for the kids in the community because they didn't have any of that stuff. So just to see like the smile on their faces and everything, to me, like that just warms my heart. And to be able to do that financially and contribute is huge.
That's so awesome. So wait a second, you're moving to Senegal next year?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Wow. And did you meet him over there? Did I
Yeah,
make that up?
yeah.
Okay. You met him. Were you doing missions work over there? And that's how you met him?
Yeah, so I was volunteering at a nonprofit right before I got my master's. So it was like in between college and my master's that I moved there. I had 6 months and met him, fell in love, knew like right away the day I met him, like I'm going to marry this guy. That was 10 years ago.
Wow. And now you're going back there.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And even with your own business, so I love that you're talking about these two different ways in which we serve the world. So we have
Mhm.
our gifts and our talents. For you,
Mhm.
you've got this genius around Pinterest, and then taking the resources that you're able to create from your gifts and talents and be able to
Mhm.
better the world with
Yep.
it.
Mhm.
For those people who are still figuring out the gifts and talents part, they're still trying to just make sure that they have enough income coming in that they can make an impact with the gifts and talents. What would you recommend to them if they're trying to find their place in the world? They're still trying to kind of break through the noise and find their niche.
Just start. Like a lot of times we find our voice and we find our place through taking action. And a lot of times what I see people struggle with is they try to think their way there and like
Mm.
they process it and then they get stuck in just over analyzing everything. When in reality, if you just started creating content, you started putting yourself out there, you would pretty quickly be able to find your voice and find what people are looking for, what they really enjoy coming from you. So I would just start.
That's so cool. And then because Pinterest has really become your niche, and you
Mhm.
were an early adopter of Pinterest. I remember when we were sitting and you were telling me the story of that it was kind of this aha moment where you were like, "Oh, wait a second, I know how to do Pinterest really well and other
Yeah.
people could learn from it." And then it became your niche. Why do you think it's so important for people to be able to niche down in their business?
It's how you stand out and how you can grow and influence really quickly. And so when I started this business, I actually started off like teaching general social media for like a hot second before I quickly realized Pinterest was going to be the thing. When you niche down, it's so much quicker, like you grow so much quicker. So I really quickly became known as the go-to Pinterest person. Whereas if I were just doing general social media, there's like a million people who do that. And it's really hard to stand out when you have so much competition. So the narrower you can go, the better. And I always say, like, stay narrow as long as you can, and you need to earn the right to expand and to broaden out your area of expertise.
Yeah, so go narrow it first and then broaden out over
Totally. Yep.
time.
Mhm.
What have been some of the biggest success stories from your Pinterest clients? Like, give me some examples of people who have just killed it
Oh,
using
yeah.
Pinterest.
So Kelly is a lactation consultant and she was actually going to close down her business. And
Wow.
she found me, went through Pin with Purpose and then in Activate, and she has just expanded like crazy. So she actually has had to hire other lactation consultants and has one of the top lactation blogs on the internet.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, so that's like really exciting to see just her grow her influence and her impact that way. Another one of our students sells physical products on Amazon. So she has a DIY wedding blog, and within 60 days, she was able to triple her sales from everything coming from Pinterest. And she was like running out of stock, trying to figure out how she could keep up with the demand. So
Whoa.
that's pretty cool too.
That is cool. I know. I
Yeah.
love the lactation example because you and I are both nursing right now.
Yes, she actually did like a free consultation with me. She's like, Rachel, you've helped me so much transform my business, so I want to help you in this way. And I'm like, I love you. Thank you.
I know, I know. There's definitely those moments, no matter how many times you've done it, where you're like, what? Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. That's how this goes again.
Yep.
Any other examples that just come to mind? Those are so fun. I love like hearing about different businesses that have really taken off that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, so one of our clients is in the fitness space and she was really struggling with attraction marketing. So she was trying to attract her clients with Facebook and Instagram and being so burnt out in direct messaging a lot of people every day to grow our
Yes.
business. Oh my gosh. And like, who hates getting those messages? It's just like a cold
Right.
message. Yes. So she was so burnt out on doing that. And obviously, other people don't really like that. So she started basically doing everything that I teach on Pinterest. And she followed in my footsteps exactly. So she was ranking at the very top of Google and Pinterest because they're connected, and Google images usually have pins ranking at the very top. So she
Oh
was
my,
showing up at the very top. She did one of her first launches and made $7,000 with that launch. Half the people that bought found her on Pinterest. She started making passive income from her blog and seeing, hey, I made a new sale. Hey, I made a new sale, all coming from Pinterest.
oh my gosh, that's amazing. Those are
So cool.
great stories. What I
Yeah.
love about it is it's sweat equity, but at least you're not like spending all this money on ads trying to like collect data and figure it out, which is so
Sweat
nice too.
equity at first, though, because just like me, she stopped touching that blog a few years ago and she's still getting traffic to it from Pinterest and still making sales from it. Yeah. So it's like you work hard in the beginning, and as long as you have a lot of content, it can work for you. I have stuff that's still driving traffic 5 years later.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
What was like one person, what is one thing that somebody who's listening could do on Pinterest like today just to get started on exploring this opportunity of growing their business through Pinterest?
Just figure out one of the biggest things is understanding keywords. Long tail keywords is what we call it. So a keyword would be like weight loss, I guess, would be an example. To get more specific, I would use the term intermittent fasting for women. So that's a more
Mm.
specific search term. And me and that client, Megan, I was talking about, we dominated at the very top of Pinterest for that search term. And so just go to Pinterest, go to the search bar and start typing in what you might think your ideal client's searching for. And you'll see really quickly that Pinterest starts to autofill and it'll start to fill in the keyword term. So basically, I'll start typing in like intermittent and then it'll autofill fasting and then it'll like keep going. So you want to use that most specific search term that shows up when you're doing that. So just do a little bit of research to see, all right, this is what I think they're searching for. What are they really searching for? And you can just start playing around with that.
That's so, so good. And I invited you on this podcast because you are a multi-million dollar brand. You've reached the seven-figure mark in your business. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I heard you say that one time. And what do you think are some of the things that you had to move through in order to get to that point in your business? What are some of the challenges that you've encountered?
Oh my gosh, get out of my own way. Yeah, a lot of times it's just our mindset that holds us back and like that fear or anxiety. Like, I don't know. So getting out of my own way, hiring a mentor that's going to help me grow and push me and believe in me and have a vision for me that a lot of times like I have this big vision and then I might start to doubt myself and like pull back and she's like, no, 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 this is where we're going. And so having someone that is that strong leader has been amazing. And then working on my own leadership and personal development. So I'm actually doing like this 5-month leadership intensive program right now
Oh,
because your
wow.
business will only grow as much as you grow as a leader. And so that's been like one of my biggest focuses is how can I grow even more? How can I develop myself even more so I can serve more people?
So, so cool. And what would you say to somebody else who really just wants to become a multi-million dollar brand and they're like, I can't even see it for myself. Like, were you able to see it for yourself in the beginning?
No, not in the beginning. Oh my gosh. In my first business, I remember my goal was to make $500 a week. That was like my first goal that I set for myself because that was only as far as I could see. I couldn't see like I couldn't see making 6 figures yet. I couldn't see like making $1 million yet. To me, that was so big, and I was only 23. And so I would say like set realistic yet stretchy goals that are going to challenge you and push you, and every time you set that goal, just aim the bar a little bit higher and a little bit higher and a little bit higher. And you'll start to see yourself, you'll start to get that momentum. You'll be like, build that confidence. Heck yeah, I can do this. And then set the goal higher.
So, so good. And how's your faith played into it? Like, as you've set these goals, like,
Mhm.
how does your faith very much a part of your business? Do you see it something separate?
It's everything. Oh my gosh. Let me actually pull up. I have a quote on my website from Craig Groeschel, and I'm going to pull it up because this is like summarizes everything. Um, I honestly would not have a business. I wouldn't have anything if it weren't for my faith. Um,
I
let
love the
me,
enthusiasm.
yes,
Because
so much.
some people are like, well, it's part of who I am, but it comes in from time to time, especially if somebody's in a traditional business setting.
Right.
Sometimes they can feel that a little bit of that need for separation. But
No, it's everything. So I literally have this quote on my homepage of my website. We are faith-filled, big thinking risk takers. We want to seek God for the impossible, believe God for miracles, dream that God would do exceedingly and abundantly more in our lives for his glory, that generations would know who he is. We will be faith-filled with all that we do.
it's so good.
So I see myself as, all right, God has put me here for a reason. How can I live up to my highest potential and impact as many people as possible for his glory?
Hmm. Do you think some people who are faith-based have a hard time reconciling this idea of having a multi-million-dollar company and being faith-based?
Depends on what they were taught. So if they were taught that money is evil, money is the root of all evil, it's not true. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. So it just depends on like how they've been taught about money. In my group coaching program, Activate, this past month, September, has been Money Mindset Month. And so helping people break through those limiting beliefs that are keeping them small. I think money can be such a great tool, and I mean, yes, you can treat yourself and have a nice car if you want. Like, I don't see it as being evil to be able to treat yourself, but also, like, when you have money, you're able to contribute more. Like, why would we intentionally keep ourselves small and living in poverty when in reality, if we're able to succeed in business, then we're able to give back so much more. We're able to contribute so much more. We're able to employ more people, create more jobs. I see it as a huge blessing. And I know not everyone is called to be an entrepreneur. I think some people are called to ministry, and that's great. But I think some people think God can only use them if they're called to ministry and not
Yes.
necessarily with their business, when in reality, your business can be your ministry.
So good. So good. I think a lot of people needed to hear that. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing it. It's so
Yes.
awesome. So we're going to go into a couple fun questions. What is your favorite book?
Oh, so I have the John Maxwell Leadership Bible, which is incredible. I love going through that. All John Maxwell books. Intentional Living is a big one that I go back to like over and over and over again. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell. Those are probably some of my favorites. Radical by David Platt and Crazy Love by Francis Chan. Those are two of the most impactful and life-changing books aside from the Bible.
Wow, I haven't heard those before. That's
Oh,
good.
you have to read them. They're so good.
Yeah, I'm going to write it down after this podcast. I get so many good book ideas from people that I interview. And then what's your favorite vacation spot?
I love going back to the places that I lived. So Kenya, France, and Senegal. I just love going back there and exploring and seeing like the people I used to live by and all of that. So I love doing that. Also, I loved Egypt, and Israel.
So awesome. And then where can people find you if they want to learn more about Pinterest and just your podcast and where can they go?
So if you want to listen to the podcast, it's the She's Making an Impact podcast. And then if you want to learn more about Pinterest, you can attend my free workshop. Just go to freepinterestclass.com.
So cool. Thank you so much, Rachel. It was great to see you again. It was great to talk to you. And I cannot wait to follow your adventures to Senegal. That's amazing. And I just really appreciate you being here.
Thanks so much for having me.